Tonight on Prime News, catastrophe on the roads. The holiday weekend toll stands at more than double that of last year, with 24 hours to go. First home buyers, take your cue. New figures show buying rather than renting is cheaper in many New Zealand regions. And she's the most unlikely superstar. Singing sensation Susan Boyle versus the street dancers. Just how did Britain vote? This is Prime News for Sunday, May the 31st. Also tonight in sport, the All Black squad for the clashes with France and Italy is named. Just who will be captain? And what went so horribly wrong with the Chiefs in South Africa? A full post-mortem on the Super 14 final.
This is Prime News. First at 5:30.
Kia ora, good evening. With a day left to run, the Queen's Birthday holiday road toll is already double that of last year. 7 have died in 3 crashes, all in the North Island, 4 more than last Queen's Birthday. A tanker driver and a pedestrian were killed near Ohakea at around 6 this morning, while 1 person was killed in a 3-car smash on Auckland's southern motorway. But the worst was this fatal smash yesterday near Benidale in the King Country, which claimed 4 lives. Lucan Ryder, his wife Patricia Matthews and their 9-year-old daughter were all killed in the accident. The couple's 2 sons survived, but both have now been transferred to Starship Hospital this afternoon. A woman in the other car was also killed.
As they are now, the conditions are horrendous, and it just shows that in conditions like this, we've got to drive to the conditions. 100 might be the speed limit, but it's certainly not a target.
Road warnings are in place across the central and lower North Island, with snow forecast down to 300 metres. Health Minister Tony Ryall says he'll meet with officials in the next few days to discuss a law change around HIV. It comes as health officials face criticism for not making police aware of a man who'd allegedly been intentionally infecting sexual partners. It's understood that officials knew about the man for several months, but failed to say anything due to patient confidentiality. Police have since arrested the 40-year-old Aucklander and charged him with infecting 3 men and attempting to infect a 4th. Mr Ryall says he'll be reviewing the Public Health Act, which does not require health professionals to disclose that an HIV-positive person could be spreading the virus. The drop in house prices and mortgage rates has made life a little easier for those trying to decide whether to start climbing the property ladder. Figures released by website interest.co.nz show buying your first home is now cheaper than renting, but not by much. Last month, it took around 23% of the typical first home buyer's income to pay the mortgage on an entry-level property. Renting the same house took 0.1% more. It's the first time buying's been more affordable than renting since the website began running the comparison 4 years ago. The swine flu toll is rising rapidly, with 255 Australians now contracting the virus. It has spread to every state and territory, with the Northern Territory now recording its first case.
More and more Australians are being diagnosed with swine flu, but the Prime Minister isn't one of them. After complaining of a sore throat on his whirlwind trip to Singapore, his test came back negative. More than 200 Victorians haven't been so lucky. Their state has been the hardest hit, with more than 3,000 people in home isolation this weekend.
The reason that we're taking a cautious approach is that this is a new virus. We know that the population doesn't have immunity to it.
In New South Wales, authorities are awaiting test results before deciding whether the Pacific Dawn cruise ship will be permitted to dock in Sydney tomorrow morning. Dozens of passengers who disembarked the ship in Brisbane yesterday have also been asked to go into home quarantine. Around the country, more than a dozen schools have closed.
We know it is inconveniencing a number of parents and families, but I think everyone has been very cooperative because they understand that we are trying to slow the spread of this disease.
Even so, authorities expect the swine flu toll to continue to rise rapidly over the coming week. Then it's likely health authorities will lift the country's pandemic alert level.
We're not at that point yet, but as the numbers increase in Victoria, we obviously will assess how soon we're at that point.
A specific swine flu vaccine won't be available for another 2 months. In the meantime, those with the virus are being treated with antivirals like Tamiflu. Overseas, that drug has been linked to abnormal behaviour, including suicide. The Health Minister says here in Australia, 2 people have reported feeling agitated and anxious after taking the drug.
It is something that people obviously need to be aware of, our health professionals in particular, but we've had no reports at all in Australia of there being any complications.
Pakistan says it's retaken control of Mingora, the largest town in the Swat Valley where its troops have been fighting the Taliban. Government forces now fully control Mingora, although they're still meeting pockets of resistance from fighters on the outskirts of the town. Militants have fled the town instead of confronting troops in a final battle, despite the military saying earlier that escape routes had been closed.
Relief activities by Army at Mingora. A team of 21 doctors with sufficient medicines have reached Mingora for re-establishing the civil hospital.
The Pakistan military launched a major offensive a month ago in the Swat Valley and neighbouring areas to oust Taliban militants who were extending their control over the northwestern region near the border with Afghanistan. Well, back here, the perilous state of the nation's finances has dominated the week in politics. A string of pre-budget good news leaks failed to obscure the cold, harsh reality about the size of the deficits we're going to run up over the next 10 years. Here's political editor Barry Soper.
Crunching the numbers was never going to be a pleasant task for Bill English. The economy's been in a dramatic tailspin since the election, and even the figures presented in the budget could still be wrong, with global fortunes continuing to wax and wane. There was little secret about this budget, particularly when it came to the big-ticket items. National's election platform of tax cuts over the next 2 years is gone, with little likelihood of them being brought back anytime soon. Contributions to the super fund have been suspended for at least a decade, and the government will continue to borrow an additional $34 billion over the next 4 years. The difference between what we owe and what we own will peak at 43% of GDP in 2017, almost double what it is now. Amid the gloom, there was some good news, ironically thanks to the Greens. Whilst the government is having trouble getting its house in order, they're determined to ensure that ours are. Grants of up to $1,800 will be made available to around 180,000 households for insulation and the installation of heat pumps. Health will get an additional $3 billion over the next 4 years, money it needs just to keep pace. And education will see $1 billion spent on it over the next 4 years. The only thing blue about this budget was the government's mood about the state of the books. But that thin blue line will get a little wider with an additional 600 cops on the beat over the next 2 years. And that's the week that was. Barry Soper, Prime News.
Scottish singing sensation Susan Boyle faced the music for the last time, and she's been named runner-up in the final of Britain's Got Talent. Despite not winning, the 48-year-old received a standing ovation for her performance of I Dreamed a Dream.
I dreamed a dream in time gone by, alongside life worth living.
The winning act was dance sensation Diversity, but Susan remained the sentimental favourite. Just ahead on Prime News, who is the new All Blacks captain? We have the answer for you, plus the rest of the squad named this afternoon. And just what went wrong with the Chiefs? Well, just about everything.